Alright, we are back with some Factorio, and we've got a lot of things to do today. We're going to try to get nuclear power going. That's right, nuclear power. So I did a little bit of work off camera, not much really. Over here I expanded the uranium production. I've got a bunch of uranium and a little bit of uranium-235 stockpiled. I have a lot of 238, the crappy uranium. And I'm going to do some the Kovarex enrichment process to get more of the 235. And I'm going to start that up in a moment. I'll show you how I designed this thing here. But first, I did a little bit more work on the mall area, quote-unquote mall. This is in the center of my base. This is near the ship right there. This is where my old temp base used to be, up here. And I've got almost everything I need being produced here. Not quite everything, but almost everything. I've got most of the buildings. I've got beacons. I've got chemical plants, miners here. It's very simple. The layout is very simple, so it's easy to follow, easy to read. I've got assembly machine 3s going. I've got everything for nuclear down here. And I'm not automating bots yet, but that's coming soon. I actually don't really need them that badly. We're doing okay here. I built more bots by hand, but I could always use more, so might be worth doing that. I am also bringing batteries over here now, and concrete. So I've got that, those being provided to the mall here, and I'm loading in the copper, iron, and steel and bricks here from my starter smelting, and that's being used up in my mall. It's gonna be a while before I use all of this, but I'm still trying to use up all this ore here. So that's why I'm doing it this way and not training it in. So doing pretty good. We got all the belts, blue belts, everything. There's still a few more things I need to add, but it really is almost done. Now, let's get to uranium. So, I've got more ore being processed here. I can actually add a few more miners. Okay, now what are we going to do with this ore? We're going to enrich it so we can get a whole bunch of uranium-235. And I'm going to do it this way. So what's going to happen is the ore is going to come down here. I'm going to delete this. This inserter here. The ore is going to come in through here. And it'll be filtered. The dark uranium, or 238, will be on top. The 235 will be on the bottom. And will be loaded in this chest. The dark will be loaded in this chest. And it will be unloaded from these chests onto these belts. The 235 from this chest with a long inserter onto the outer belt here. The inner belt will be 238. I think I'm getting that right. 238, yeah. And this will enrich the uranium. You can see that it takes as an input 40 uranium-235 and 5 238. And it outputs 41 235 and 2 238. So it basically consumes 3 238 and outputs one 235, which is a great deal. It's a great way to get some extra 235. Otherwise, you're going to wind up with a huge excess of 238 like I have here, with only a few uranium 235. So this is a good way to get some extra 235. Now, in order to make this work, let me power this up so we can stop it from blinking. Okay, now, in order for all of this to work, this chest, which will be 238, it always needs to have room in it. Same with this one, actually. So that these can unload properly. If the ore from this process here fills up this chest, then this won't be able to output anymore, and it'll clog up and it'll just stop working. So what we're gonna have to do is use circuits. So this inserter here, which will be picking up the 238, we're gonna set it to only pick up and load 238 in there if it has less than, say, 100. Okay, so we don't need that much stockpiled in here. It's going to be used up over time by this process, because this process consumes more 238 than it outputs. But we don't want it. But we don't want this to fill up. So we're going to keep it stocked with about 100. If it needs more, it'll load it in here with this inserter. If not, then it won't load it, and it'll just be funneled down here. And then we can do something with it, you know, down here. Do something like... we're going to use it for fuel processing, so we'll send it over there. We'll do something like that. Okay, now the 235, which is the one we want, the bright green uranium, that's going to be filtered on the bottom here, and it's going to go straight to this chest. Now, we want as much of that as possible, so we're not going to have to put any kinds of circuits here. We're always going to load it into the chest. However, for the unloading, we will do a little circuitry. We will only unload if the uranium 235 is greater than 100. That way we will, once we get this process started, I can put some uranium 235 in there, and it won't unload it. It just won't unload it into here right away to the bottom. It'll load it up here first, so it gets used up here. And then once we've accumulated enough uranium 235, then it will start unloading it below, and will be transferred to this chest here. So that's how we're doing it. Basically, there are a lot of ways you can do this. Probably simpler ways, more complex, more elegant ways to do this. But the basic idea is that we always want uranium 238, the dark one, to be available to these but we also need them to be able to output uranium-235. 238, sorry. So there are a lot of ways you could design this, but a lot of those ways could wind up, if it's badly designed, it could wind up clogging and just stopping. So that's basically what we're trying to avoid here. We always want resources available to these. Let's add a few more. I think the process is quite slow. Yeah, 60 seconds. And once I get this working, then you'll kind of, once I turn it on, you'll kind of see how it works. And I think the output here will be okay. I believe one red belt will be enough for all of these, because this takes 60 seconds and outputs about 43, yeah, a little over 40, so less than 1 per second. One piece of material per second. So that's only going to be, we have 10, so that's like 10, less than 10 per second. Which is fine for one red belt, one side of one red belt. Alright, let's get rid of that. Oh, and this is prioritized to send uranium-238 up here first so that this process gets started. Right? Oh no, that's the input priority. Output, right, there we go. But luckily we have a whole bunch stockpiled here. So let's dump some in there. Now you can see this inserter has stopped picking it up because there's too much in there. Now it's just going to output it onto the bottom here. Let's take the uranium-235. Now, importantly, I don't actually want to turn all of these on yet. I'm not going to bring the belt all the way up. Not for the 235. Because if this misses some pickups and some 235 gets passed and gets picked up by these, which may or may not happen, but if it did happen, then nothing will work. Because I don't have much 235 at all. I only have like 60. And if it gets spread out between all of these, then none of them will just work at all. So let's take this. I got 10 here. So I want to basically turn them on like one at a time. Once I got about 100 or so 235, then I'll well, then it'll feed it to start feeding it to this one too. Yeah, the belt's already going up to the second one. It looks like it might not be a problem because the inserter is picking them all up like it should. So I think it'll be okay. Let's transfer some of this. Oh, I got no inventory space. We'll deal with that later. Yeah, this is a slow process, but once we get all of these working, we'll be getting tons of resources. Now, up here, we will be doing the nuclear power. It's got to be near the water. Oh, actually, before we do that, nuclear power requires uranium fuel cells. That's iron plates, 1 uranium-235, and 19 uranium-238. So, just to give us some room, let's pretend we're going to do this enrichment process on both sides. We're going to need this space for the other side. And over here, we will create the uranium fuel cells. Now, these produce really quickly, 1 per second. Yeah, it produces 10 fuel cells every 10 seconds. So we only need 1 assembly machine. That is a-okay. And we need iron plates, which means we're going to need to exploit this tiny little iron patch right here. Now, this is going to be 30,000 iron, which is more than enough. As it happens, 30,000 iron will get us 30,000 uranium fuel cells. Actually, a bit more than that because we have production bonuses, or mining productivity bonuses, so we'll get a little bit more than that. This will be all we need. I should have some electric smelters. Do I not? Oh, I guess I forgot to pick them up. Okay, that's fine. I don't think... that's fine. I don't know if that's enough smelters or drills. This is 0.5 per second. These will produce... whatever. It's fine. We really don't need much at all. Much iron. Do I have any landfill? No. I want to get rid of that little patch right there. Where's my car? I've got to have some landfill in my car. Oh no. I've got rocks. I can make a landfill. There we go, much better. So the iron will come in here. We could just do that, put it all on the same belt. Why not? Okay. Let's get power over here. I'm just doing everything we can do before we tackle the power plant itself, which we are going to do in a moment. Let's research something while we're doing this. I like the power armor. I need that. Now you can see right now our power is not a problem, but that's just because we've stockpiled so many resources. Okay. Let's get our car. Bring it over here. And since I've got the extra centrifuges, we'll just add a few more of these just to get more uranium a little bit quicker. And we'll have to add a few more miners as well. Okay, good enough. So we've got 48. Yeah, it's a real slow process. Power armor is done. Let us research personal roboport 2. Alright, now the nuclear power plant. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go through this step by step. A lot of people find the nuclear power overly complex, too complicated. They don't worry about it. They instead, you know, they might go strictly solar power, which is very simple. You just throw down a bunch of solar panels. Nuclear power is not that complicated. It just does require, unlike almost everything else, it does require a little bit of basic doing ratios and a little bit of math. Like everything else, you don't need to do math. You can just build something, and then if you don't have enough of it, build more. And then if you're using too many resources, build more of the resource that you need. You can just keep playing the game like that. You don't have to do any math at all, really. You don't have to worry about ratios, any of that. But nuclear power, you really can't do that. Technically, I guess you could, but it will not go well. Insert a capacity. Yes, do that. So, I've decided we're going to do... Where's our nuclear plants? Did I... Yeah. There they are. Okay. I'm going to do 4 nuclear reactors. The reason is... if they're next to another working nuclear reactor, they will have an output bonus, a neighbor bonus of 100% of the power output, which is huge. So instead of generating 40 watts, it will output 40 times 3, basically 120. So if we have 4 of these next to each other, that is 480 megawatts of power if they're all running at the same time. Now, in order to get energy from that, we need heat exchangers, which work the same as boilers, basically, and steam turbines, which work the same as steam engines. These are basically just higher temperature steam engines and higher temperature boilers, basically. You can think of them as that. And so the nuclear reactors will generate heat, and we're going to use the heat rods. Basically, they're going to act sort of like pipes, but for heat. They're going to transfer the heat to the heat exchangers, which will boil the water, which will run these turbines to generate electricity. So how many turbines and heat exchangers do we want? Well, if we're going to be generating 480 megawatts of power, how many steam turbines do we want? One steam turbine generates a max output of 5.82 megawatts. That's a little bit of a weird number. But and I've got a calculator handy here. If I do 480 divided by, what is that? 5.82. That's 82.4. Or about 80, we'll say about 80. So it doesn't have to be exact. It's not going to be 100% efficient. That's fine. We're going to make it simple for ourselves and say 80. 80 steam turbines will be enough for 4 nuclear power plants together like this. So if we have 80 steam turbines, how many heat exchangers will we need? Well, we look at the consumption of the steam turbine and the production of the heat exchanger. Steam turbine consumes 60 steam per second. Heat exchanger outputs 103 steam per second. So, how many heat exchangers? We'll need 60... 60 over 103 times 80. And that's 46.6. Okay, and we're gonna round that up to 48. Yeah, I did this math earlier and it came out to about 48. Oh, yeah, I know why. Because I rounded this down to 80. So, okay, yeah, we'll just say 48. That's a nice good number. 48 and 80, they're divisible by 4. Okay, really, it's going to be about 46.6, but whatever. Okay, now, how to actually go about designing it? Well, the way that heat pipes work, you want to try to dissipate the heat from the nuclear reactors in a somewhat even manner. So let's say if we did something like this. Let's go to our car. I got all our materials in our car here. Let's deposit that. Don't need that. Don't need that garbage. Okay. So the setup is going to look something like this. We're going to have water coming in through the side here. Okay. And it's going to be generating steam. And it's going to be, and out the back here will be where the heat is coming in. So to boil the water. And the heat will be coming from these all of these points on the nuclear reactor can output heat. So you could actually, I think these output heat to each other. I'm not sure. So theoretically, you could just do something stupid like this and have one pipe coming up like this. But there are some limits, I think, as to how efficiently heat can be transferred through pipes. So it's not really going to be efficient at all to do it this way. You're not going to get the power you want. You're going to want to try to dissipate the heat from as many of these points as possible. And so there are a lot of ways you could do this. Let's... Let's move this up here slightly. Give us more room. What's in the way? Oh, pipe. So basically, I'm going to want heat exchangers on every end of it. We can do like a... Let's see, we're going to have... How much did I say? 48? We can do like... 12 and 12 on the sides here, and then 24 on top. It's not going to be perfectly even, but we can do something like oh man, this is going to look weird. Am I going to have enough room for this? Okay, that's 24. Yes. $36. I need 12 more. Oh no. Alright. This is gonna take, it's gonna take a bit of effort getting this to fit. Alright, give me a moment. I gotta think about this. Okay, I'm back. So this is kind of what I came up with. Just ignore the oddly placed steam turbines for now. I've got... And these can be kind of tricky to design on your own, but it is satisfying once you get it up and running. I've got 48 heat exchangers. We'll put the steam turbines down later. Soon. But we've got heat exchangers. And I think this will be okay. We've got heat exchangers on every side here. I've got a big gap here because I'm going to need to bus in some fuel, but I can adjust that a bit as needed. Yeah, the spacing is critical because I need enough room for these electrical towers and heat exchangers. Okay, so at this moment, everything is hooked up via heat exchangers. Now let's see if we can fit the steam turbines in where they need to go and still get power to everything. Now, because these aren't quite a 2-to-1 ratio, is it greater than 2-to-1? No, it's 80. We're gonna need 80 steam turbines and 48 heat exchangers. Okay, so it's less. Let me take a look real quick. No. Yeah, I can't just have 2 per heat exchanger. These only output 103 steam per second. These consume 60. So that means I'm going to have to share steam between all of these, or some of these at least, which will complicate things a little bit. Okay, that's 84, so we got 4 extra. That's good. Okay, that's very good. That means we can... Okay, if we can safely take 4 away, then we can do something like this. We'll feed that steam over there. All right. So far, so good. I'm sure we'll run into some problem and it'll explode. Now, these all have to be shared. One problem we're going to have, which we can't really do much about it, is throughput issues with probably steam by transferring them through pipes. And also water. We're going to use a lot of water. And so we're going to be pumping it through here. We have water nearby, so we're not going to lose a whole lot of throughput by pumping it, but this is never going to be 100% efficient, and it doesn't need to be. This will be enough power to power our entire base for the rest of the game, even at, say, 50% efficiency. That would be fine. Well, everything is powered. We have 48, oh, it's perfect, 48 heat exchangers and 80 turbines. Absolutely perfect. Now the question is, how do we get water through here? Actually, we do need pipes for everything down here. Okay, now we're not sharing steam from the bottom portion to the upper portion. Is this going to be a good ratio? It's 20 heat exchangers to 34. No, it's not. I don't think so. Let's see, 20 over 34. That's 0.588. Now, what is... Uh, 60 over 103. .582. It's actually really close. Okay, so we don't need to share steam from the bottom portion to the top portion. It's close enough that we don't have to worry about it. Okay. Now water. Can't get a pipe across. Okay, let's get some pumps down. Let's fix this up. There we go. Okay, and we'll be making use of pumps to keep pressure up. I'm not sure it's necessary because the water is so close by that we might not need it at all, but okay, this is not going to work. Because I'm gonna need some way to load the fuel onto these. I could do it. The easiest way would be without belts, and just use requester chests, use bots. Okay, but I'm going to need to get water onto here. Onto this side here. Well, I could just bring it up over here. I'll use it underground so that I can walk through it. Yeah, in fact, I think I'll do that. I'm probably going to lose a lot of throughput. It'll be okay. Alright, let's get water in these pumps. Okay, sorry I'm not really commentating very much. Kind of focused on what's going on here. Okay, all I need to do is get water to these heat exchangers, and I think that's all, and then we just load it with fuel. Oh no, I ran out of pipe. Make more. I'm almost done though. I don't need much more pipe. Oh, it's perfect. We've got all of the heat exchangers. Although I would like to move this down. Let's move it out by one. That way we can plop some heat exchangers here on the sides. Try to get a little bit more of an even transfer of heat. Same with this. Okay. That is absolutely perfect. Now let's get power to it and then see if the water gets filled up where it should. And then after that we can test it out. Alright, we got water. We got water. Water. Yeah, we got water everywhere. It's amazing. Alright, let's override stack size 1 so that it loads one fuel cell at a time. That doesn't really matter. We should be able to produce them faster than we can use them. Oh, look at that. You know what? I'm gonna take... We're not quite ready for nuclear power because we still need to let this enrichment process run for a while. But I'm just gonna borrow this. Provider chest. Yes, do it. Okay, let's get a roboport down. Please work. I hope it works. Oh no, we can't fit a roboport in here. That's terrible. If we move this up, I can. Roboport, where are you? Yes. And of course, we got to move that one up to match. Yes, perfect. Now, I only want them running... Hold on. This has got to be even, or I'll freak out. Okay, there we go. Now, there are a lot of ways we could do this. Let me save my game here in case we mess something up. I want to make sure that either all of these are running or none of them are running. And you know what? I just forgot. We're gonna have some output as well. Which is fine. Totally, totally fine. We will put them in provider chests. Oh god, I'm losing my mind. Can't find what I'm looking for. Alright, we're gonna put the output in the provider chest. And the output will be processed fuel. And then, I'm not going to do it now, but over here we'll request the processed fuel, and then we'll process it and recycle it and all that. So we have a way to get rid of the processed fuel. Now, I want these running all 4 at a time or none at a time. So we're going to set these to a stack size of 1, so they only load 1 fuel cell at a time. And we're going to hook all this up to the circuit network. And I don't know if this is going to work. But let's cross our fingers and hope it does. So this is only going to load, enable, disable when uranium fuel cell equals 4. Oh, you know what? No, this will work. And then the request, we will request 1 fuel cell each. Okay. Now, in order for this to work, we cannot have more than 1 logistics robot. Let's make one. The reason is if we have more than 1, then I think if we're requesting 1 item, then it could wind up dumping more than 1. Like more than 1 bot could be trying to fulfill that request, and we could wind up with multiple, and we don't want more than 1 because that'll mess up the calculations. I might be wrong on that. I ran into some problems like that before, but okay, I'm gonna save my game. And we're going to stick a logistics bot in here. And we're going to see what happens. Hey, why'd you do that? Enabled condition. Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, this is, this is the issue I was... I was worried about. Whoops, the logistics robots cannot pick up less than what their stack size is. So if they have a stack size of 4, then they cannot pick up less than 4. If I'm requesting 1, then that's not going to work. But that's okay. And this will run forever. 200 megawatts. What is going on? Oh, right. So it takes a while for the heaters to heat up, the heat pipes, and these won't start until it reaches 500 degrees Celsius. So they're all working. It'll take a minute. And this will run forever. Now it's gonna stop, of course, when yeah, look at all that uranium fuel cells. Jeez. When that runs out, whenever that will be, it will stop until I get more uranium-235. Do I not have any more belts? Okay. There we go. Now, one thing you can do is store some steam in storage tanks that act as sort of a buffer. And you can set these to only load uranium when the buffers run low, and that way you're not wasting power. So if your buffers are filled up with steam, which will continue to give you power until the buffers run out, then you don't need to run these. You can set it up to do that, but it's really not necessary, and I'm not going to do it. It's not necessary because you can get so much power from one uranium ore patch that it's not necessary to do any kind of buffer. You can just have these running all the time. Even if you don't need the power, it's fine. Sure, you're wasting it, but this is going to last until the end of the game anyway. Even if it runs non-stop, it will last forever. So I'm not going to bother doing any kind of buffer or any kind of weird circuitry to keep it from running. Now why aren't you working? Oh, you've still got conditions. Right. Let's fix that right up. There we go. Now let's see what happens once these get to 500. How do we process the spent fuel? We get 3 uranium using a centrifuge. let's take care of that real quick. Hey, there they go. They turned on. All right, let's request the used up uranium. Oh, that's going to be on the wrong side. We'll do that. Nuclear fuel reprocessing. So this is going to reprocess the fuel, give us 3 uranium, and it'll output here and be reused in the nuclear fuel assembly. All right, let's check our power. 665 megawatts. So it was 200. As you saw before when I checked my power, now it's 665. We went up over 3 times power, which is a massive increase, and it'll be enough to keep us afloat for the rest of the game. Well, that was a journey. Now, we aren't generating a whole lot of uranium-235 yet, but it's coming. Pretty soon these will all be running and we'll be getting more uranium-235 than we can spend. And we can make nuclear fuel for trains. We can make nuclear... I guess nuclear bombs somewhere. We gotta research it first. Oh boy. Well, thank you for tuning in and joining me for this very special episode. And it's gonna be a long one, so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope somebody got some enjoyment out of that nightmare. Nice. I'm pretty happy with it.